It was June 26, 1977, at the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, Indiana. The summer air outside was warm and humid at 81 degrees, but inside the packed venue, the temperature had climbed to nearly 88 degrees from the collective energy and body heat of 21,000 devoted fans who had come to see what would unknowingly be one of Elvis's final concerts. The King was in the middle of an emotionally charged performance when something happened in the front row that would test every instinct he had about caring for his fans and create a moment of compassion that 21,000 people would remember for the rest of their lives. The young woman's name was Jennifer Lynn Patterson, though nobody in the arena knew it at the time. She was 19 years old, a college sophomore from Bloomington, who had driven 3 hours with her best friend Katie to see her idol perform. Jennifer had been an Elvis fan since childhood, when her grandmother had played his records during long summer afternoons, spent baking cookies and sharing stories about the old days when music meant something special. Jennifer had saved money from her part-time job at the campus bookstore for 6 months to afford front-row tickets. At $85 each, they represented nearly 2 weeks of wages. But seeing Elvis up close had been her dream since she was 12 years old. She had carefully planned her outfit, a vintage-style dress that she thought Elvis would appreciate, along with her grandmother's pearl earrings for good luck. The day had been perfect until the concert started. Jennifer and Katie had arrived at the venue 4 hours early, waiting in the oppressive heat to ensure they got the best possible view of their hero. By the time the doors opened, Jennifer was already feeling lightheaded from the combination of excitement, heat, and the fact that she had been too nervous to eat much that day. Inside the arena, the temperature continued to climb as 21,000 people packed into every available space. The air conditioning system, designed for smaller crowds and cooler weather, was struggling to maintain comfortable conditions. Jennifer, positioned directly in front of the stage, where the heat from the powerful stage lights added to the already oppressive atmosphere, began to feel increasingly dizzy as the opening acts performed. When Elvis finally took the stage in his white jumpsuit with intricate gold and silver beading, Jennifer felt a surge of adrenaline that temporarily overcame her physical discomfort. For the first 30 minutes of the concert, she was in complete heaven, singing along to every song and feeling like she was living in a dream that she never wanted to end. Elvis was performing with particular passion that night, his voice strong and emotional as he delivered song after song with the magnetic presence that had made him a global icon. The crowd was responding with enthusiasm that bordered on hysteria, creating waves of energy that seemed to lift the roof off the building. It was during the middle of a particularly energetic number that Jennifer's world began to spin. The combination of heat, excitement, dehydration, and standing for over 5 hours finally overwhelmed her young body. She felt the arena beginning to tilt around her, Elvis's image becoming blurry and distorted as her vision tunneled and darkened around the edges. Katie, standing beside her best friend, noticed immediately when Jennifer began to sway. "Jen, are you okay?" she shouted over the music, reaching out to steady her friend who was clearly in distress. But it was too late. Jennifer's knees buckled and she collapsed forward toward the stage, her body going completely limp as consciousness left her entirely. She would have fallen face first onto the concrete floor if not for the quick reflexes of the security guard positioned directly in front of her section. The collapse happened directly in Elvis's line of sight. He was in the middle of singing when he saw the young woman in the vintage dress suddenly crumple and fall. His performer's instincts, honed by decades of watching audiences and responding to their needs, kicked in immediately. Without finishing his phrase, Elvis stopped singing mid-word and signaled urgently to his band to cut the music. The sudden silence in the arena was jarring and immediate, causing 21,000 people to focus their attention on the stage where Elvis was pointing toward the front row with obvious concern. "Hold everything," Elvis said into his microphone, his voice carrying clearly through the arena's sound system. "We got someone down here who needs help." He jumped down from the stage without hesitation, landing directly beside where Jennifer lay, unconscious in the security guard's arms. The action was so unexpected, so contrary to normal concert protocol, that the entire arena fell into stunned silence as they watched their hero kneel beside a fan who was clearly in medical distress. Elvis immediately began checking on Jennifer's condition with the calm efficiency of someone who had dealt with medical emergencies before. He felt for her pulse, checked to see if she was breathing normally, and gently lifted her eyelids to check her pupils. All techniques he had learned during his army service and from years of witnessing similar incidents at his concerts. "She's just overheated and dehydrated," Elvis announced to the crowd, his voice reassuring but authoritative. "It's hot as blazes in here, and she's been standing for hours. She's going to be fine, but we need to take care of her properly." What happened next would become the stuff of legend among Elvis fans and concert-goers everywhere. Instead of having Jennifer removed from the venue by medical personnel, Elvis made a decision that demonstrated the depth of his character and his genuine care for the people who supported his career. He carefully lifted Jennifer in his arms, her unconscious form slight and fragile against his strong frame. "I'm taking her backstage where it's cooler," he announced to the crowd. "We're going to make sure she's properly taken care of before this show continues." The sight of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, carrying an unconscious fan in his arms while walking toward the backstage area, created a moment of such profound tenderness that many people in the audience began crying. This wasn't a publicity stunt or a calculated gesture. This was genuine human compassion being demonstrated by someone who understood that his fans were real people deserving of care and respect. Elvis disappeared backstage with Jennifer for nearly 20 minutes, during which time the arena remained in respectful silence. Occasionally, updates would come through the sound system from Elvis's crew, letting the audience know that Jennifer was receiving proper medical attention and was responding well to treatment. When Elvis finally returned to the stage, he was greeted by the loudest, most appreciative applause of the entire evening. But before he resumed the concert, he took time to address what had just happened and to share a message that would resonate with everyone present. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elvis said, his voice filled with genuine emotion, "what just happened reminds me of something important. Every person who comes to see me perform is special. You're not just audience members or ticket buyers. You're people with lives and families and dreams, and when something happens to one of you, it matters to me personally." He paused, looking out over the crowd with an intensity that made everyone feel personally connected to him. "Jennifer is awake now and she's going to be fine. She's resting in air conditioning backstage and she's got medical personnel taking good care of her. But I want all of you to understand something. If any of you ever needs help, if you're ever in trouble or danger or distress, I hope someone will stop what they're doing to take care of you, the way we just took care of Jennifer." The arena erupted in applause, but it wasn't the usual screaming excitement of a rock concert. It was something deeper, appreciation for a demonstration of character that transcended entertainment and touched on fundamental human values of compassion and caring. Elvis continued the concert with renewed energy and purpose, but everyone could sense that something had changed. The relationship between performer and audience had deepened, becoming more personal and meaningful than a typical entertainment experience. During the intermission, Elvis made sure that Jennifer was fully recovered and comfortable before offering her and Katie VIP seats in a climate-controlled box where they could enjoy the rest of the show without risk of overheating. He also arranged for them to meet him after the concert, spending time talking with Jennifer about her recovery and expressing his genuine concern for her well-being. "You scared me there for a minute," Elvis told Jennifer when she was fully alert and feeling better. "I'm just glad you're okay. Promise me you'll take better care of yourself. Drink water, eat something before concerts, and don't feel like you have to tough it out if you're not feeling well." "Jennifer," still somewhat overwhelmed by the personal attention from her idol, managed to express her gratitude and amazement at his response to her medical emergency. "Mr. Presley, I can't believe you stopped your whole concert for me. I'm so embarrassed that I ruined your show." Elvis's response revealed the depth of his character and his understanding of what truly mattered. "Honey, you didn't ruin anything. You reminded me and everyone else in that building tonight why we're really here. It's not about the show. It's about people taking care of people. That's what matters." The story of Elvis stopping his concert to personally care for a fainting fan became legendary among his supporters and music fans in general. It was cited as the definitive example of how a performer should treat their audience, and how genuine star power comes not from distance and mystique, but from accessibility and authentic human caring. News of the incident spread quickly through fan networks and music publications, becoming one of the most beloved stories in Elvis folklore. People who had been at other concerts began sharing similar stories of Elvis's kindness and concern for individual fans, creating a picture of a performer who never forgot that his success depended on real people who deserved to be treated with dignity and respect. Jennifer Lynn Patterson went on to become a nurse, inspired partly by Elvis's demonstration of how to respond to medical emergencies with calm competence and genuine caring. She often told the story of that night in Indianapolis as an example of how small acts of kindness can have profound impacts on people's lives and career choices. The concert became known among Elvis fans as "The Night the King Stopped for Jennifer," and bootleg recordings of that evening are treasured not just for their musical content, but for the captured moment when 21,000 people witnessed true compassion in action. Years later, Jennifer would say in interviews that Elvis's response to her medical emergency taught her more about how to treat people than any textbook or training program. "He showed me that it doesn't matter how important you are or how busy you are. When someone needs help, you stop what you're doing and you help them. That's what being human means." Yes, the story of that June night in Indianapolis serves as a reminder that true greatness is measured not by talent or success, but by how we treat others in their moments of vulnerability. Elvis Presley proved that night that his title as the King of Rock and Roll was based on much more than musical ability. It was based on his understanding that every person matters and that genuine care for others is the most important performance any of us can give.